Everybody, welcome to the Purple Friday podcast show. Joined, of course, by Travis and Trey. Um, a lot to get to today, so we won't hesitate, waste any time. First, we're going to start off with it's sort of it's football related, but at the same time, not football related. This week, some news came out about former Raven Michael Orr. Everybody knows his story, The Blind Side. It was the book that got turned into a movie. I think Sandra Bullock won best actress or something for that
Yeah.
film. So I mean, of course, it was a big, huge story, big, heartwarming story, or so we thought. Apparently, news has come out now recently about Michael Orr
Yeah.
saying that the conservatorship or the adoption or whatever was not what it was played out to be in the movie. Michael Orr basically said that he at the time when he was a teenager signed some documents saying that he would sign over some of his rights or whatever to the Tui family so that they could make decisions for him. But at the same time, it sounds like basically they used him to make more money. It sounds like he made a deal with the studio for the rights to the movie, but behind the scenes, the Tui family allegedly used that as well to make some money off the film, some revenue off the film after it was released. Apparently, Michael Orr didn't receive any of that money. Now, he also says that the Tui family did try to send him some checks or try to send him some money from the film, but he says that wasn't what they agreed on or what he thought the proper amount was supposed to be. Now, so for some people saying that Michael Orr may be broke, this is why he's coming back now after years later and saying this and that, and maybe he needs the money. They said his net worth is like $16 million. Like he's good. He's fine. He never came across as a guy that he's out there spending lavishly. But they said so. I was interesting before the show. I was watching Dan Le Batard's show, and Donnie Fox was on there, kind of like playing host. I think Le Batard was out, and he said he was like, Foxworth played with Michael when he got drafted to the Ravens, and he asked Michael about it, and he was like, man, he asked him, have you seen the movie? He was like, hell no, I haven't seen the movie. He's like, all I heard was they made him come off at, and we've all seen the movie, we've all watched it. It came off as Michael Orr was dumb. He came off as he didn't even know how to make his own bed. He didn't know what 1+1 was. They showed scenes of Sandra Bullock's, playing to the Tui mom, teaching him how to block on the left side, on the blind side, and teach him all this stuff. And then their son teaching him a different formations and stuff. And in reality, Michael Orr was already a Division I prospect in high school. Like he knew how to play football, but he made it seem like here's this white family saving this poor black kid from his situation, and we're gonna this the white savior thing. That's what it came off as. We've seen it numerous times in many movies, TV shows, and the way Michael Orr is telling it, it seems like that was the mindset where they saw Michael Orr was a talented black kid who was most likely definitely gonna go to Division I school. They convinced him to go to Ole Miss, where shockingly both the Tuies went to Ole Miss. I'm pretty sure they got some kickbacks and stuff, right? Getting Michael Orr to go play at Ole Miss. So it's coming off as look, Michael Orr went to the NFL. He got paid. He got his money. They have also been making money on the side since then. The Tuies have become speakers. They become influencers. They've been using all this clout they've been getting from the movie and the book to continue to make money off of basically Michael Orr's situation. And Michael Orr, I think, is just I think what is coming out as he's kind of sick of it at this point. And it sounds like Tui family says he's attacking us. How dare he attack us? We did so much for him. Blah blah blah. This other stuff. But what Michael Orr is saying, he's on numerous occasions have told the Tui family, "Hey, look, if you're going to make money off my name, fine, but make sure this is my story. This is about me. Let's be real. Like the reason it wasn't because you guys are just good Christians and saved me from my situation is because you saw an opportunity that I was going to go D1. And look, and the pro sports loves a good story, right? They love a good comeback story. kid coming up from, gets homeless at one point, then makes it to the college football and goes to the NFL, plays for the Baltimore Ravens, and the Tui family and Orr all there holding his jersey up on draft night. It's a great story. But now it's coming out that maybe not so much. And what do you guys, after hearing all this stuff, what did you guys take from all this?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation if these allegations are true. I mean, I honestly don't see why they wouldn't be. I'm surprised I actually didn't see this sooner. I mean, this movie came out back in 2008, 2009. I can't remember exactly when, but it was around that time. It was a lot of years ago. And he always has been public about not caring much for the movie. So, I mean, I always thought that was kind of a red flag because, I mean, we've all, like you said, we've all watched the movie and it was a nice, heartwarming, touching type of feel to it. Um, Very just, perfect story, rough kid coming up. He was homeless. He was this, he was that. Like they painted the perfect picture and then it all came together at the end with the happy ending. So, I mean, a whole bunch of stuff was coming out around that time. Remember the Titans and all kinds of movies like that. So we were enjoying it, but it was also more enjoyable because we thought it was true, or we at least thought most of it was true. But these allegations definitely don't surprise me when you dig down into the actual story of how they came about and how he was introduced to the family and how when he was damn near almost 18 when they even came in contact. So like that kind of makes you like squint your eyes like, wow, that's like really good timing for you to finally find this family to adopt and foster you when you're about to go to college and start actually capitalizing on your likeness. So yeah, I'm absolutely not surprised, but it is just kind of just crazy how it turned out. In my opinion, I feel like he was probably taking a high road for a lot of this time and maybe giving them the
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to make things right, and it probably never did. That's probably my prediction of what actually happened. But you damn right, I'm gonna come back for what's mine. I mean, Kobe said it best. You weren't with me when you was shooting when I was shooting in the gym. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they claim they were, but if you were just there, just for opportunistic um reasons, then that's really really foul. And even after the fact, when I'm no longer really a part of y'all lives anymore, and you're still capitalizing on my likeness, uh, even after that fact, like that makes it even kind of worse because it's like I'm not even in your care anymore, and you're still somehow getting all these benefits, all this money, and I'm at home with my family and we're not eating at all based on all of my hard work. Not only all of my hard work, but my story that sold however many millions in the box office when the movie came out. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't blame him for coming out with I'm sure there's going to be more to be revealed about this story, but I don't think it's going to be anything um to make it seem like this isn't true. If anything, I think it's going to be some more details. It's going to sound even worse than what we've heard already. So I just think it's a messed up situation altogether, and I hope that man gets his money.
Yeah. America loves a white savior, and even more so, Hollywood loves a white savior. When you think about all the movies that got made, like Hardball,
Mm-hmm.
um, what was it? Glory, which that was loosely based on a true story. Like Hollywood loves a white savior, and that can be one of the biggest scams because we see it all the time. Like you see these white people adopting kids from Nigeria, or they want to go into urban communities to do good, and end up turns into some type of benefit for them. So I totally believe this. It's just sad because I mean they the parents, not his parents, but the parents of the family and the two kids all ate off of this movie
Mm-hmm.
about him, and he got nothing. And they were a part of the contract in which he signed over his rights for nothing. Like their
Yeah.
lawyer, like brokered that deal. That's insane,
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was just kind of like in this whole grateful to be a part of a family, wanting to feel a part of something, based on whatever his upbringing was. I don't even know what the truth is at this point, but like that's insane. And he probably just saw the movie for the first time based upon like what you said that Foxworth said. He probably recently saw the movie and then saw that like something wasn't right with all this paperwork and how everybody was making all this money off of him, because that family had money, but they probably got big money now since this film came out. So they monetized him, and he's out here. He didn't risk his body. His career is over. He's trying to figure out what's next, and he sees all these people who have capitalized off of who he is. So it's totally sad. But I like Trey said, I want to see what comes up next, because I mean the details so far are insane, and they didn't deny that they signed him to a conservatorship. Like they were saying adoption for so long, but they're not denying what he says. But they're saying that he tried to get them for $15 million before he went public with this. And I'm like, you damn right he went for $15 million. He got nothing off the movie, and y'all made a bag in advance and 2.5% off of the net profits, which I think was 300 million.
300 million, yep.
So that's probably another 7 million right there. So
I mean that sounds like a lot what happens in the rap industry in general. It was about the 80s and 90s. How many deals like that where guys were, men and women, black men, women, and artists who were selling millions and millions of copies of CDs were only getting like less than 10%, like less than a dime per album of sales, but yet the record label was making them all the money off of them. They weren't really even doing any of the work. It was them making tracks, and then so we've seen this story across many industries. Just in college football. I mean, even before last year, for the NIL deals, how many stadiums have we seen cost now over $1 billion now in college football, making these 100,000 seats? Like some of these stadiums were before recently were bigger than some NFL stadiums. Like it was the money coming in, and yet the guys out there actually putting the product on the field were getting nothing. I mean, in some cases, some of these guys said, yeah, even if our coach gave us a $20 to go take a girl for a movie, that would violate NCAA rules. They couldn't take $20, but yet the coach, the chancellor, president of the school, boosters, all of them get money from wherever they wanted to. So look, I would, you hear stories like this. I would say I'm pretty sure there are decent ones out there where people are genuinely care of people who've hit hard times and open up their homes and their resources to them to, get where they need to go. But like you said, it's kind of odd, the timing, considering that they show up when he's 18 and he's already getting offers from D1 schools. He's already getting offers from D1 schools to go play left tackle at a premium position in the NFL, especially. They find a good left tackle is very hard. So he was going to go. It wasn't Ole Miss, was going to be somewhere, Arkansas, Texas, Alabama, Ohio State. It was going to be somewhere, So it's just, I don't know. It's just coming off and definitely like they just kind of used him and hope. Now look, because of his situation, I know there's paperwork out there. I know for sure. If there's a conservatorship, if that was real, there's probably paperwork in the state of Mississippi with their signatures on it and the deals that they were cutting that he was forced to sign, sign away his rights to this, sign away his rights to that, and they could make money off of. So there's documentation, I'm pretty sure. So if this were to go to court and then, discovery and all that stuff, and they have to, bring all that documents for it could get real interesting.
That's the disgusting part about the allegations is, based on what he's saying, he thought he was signing adoption papers.
Yeah.
So, like, you telling me
he was becoming a family, like taking the last name of the family, and
right? He thought he was becoming an official member of the family, and then instead, they signing his rights away. He signed worse than a 360 deal than what we know of a 360 deal. Like that's actually worse.
Yeah, bro. This is like a blue collar like foster family hustle. You know what I mean? Like, some people they open their homes to foster children so they can collect them checks. This is like a blue collar version of that. Like, they just went in and was like, all right, we're gonna sign him to a conservatorship. He has all this value, and then we're going to sell the rights to a movie. We're gonna get books. Like, they really did it. Like you said, that's worse than a 360, man. They got TLC.
Yeah, bad.
Hey, what's up, Corey? How you doing, man?
What's up, Corey?
Roland's got a comment too. That family was about that money. They knew where he was up at top player in that state. Yeah. I
Yep.
mean, he was on the list and stuff. Like, it wasn't like this kid. The way the movie portrayed Michael Orr is that he was just some kid that didn't know his own strength, and they put him in this football program and he just got noticed by these Division I schools all of a sudden. Like, he came out of nowhere. Like, he was working at a McDonald's or a janitor or something, like those stories, those movies, right? They just find that kid and like, oh, he just jumps off the screen. He's just like, no, he was already playing football. He was already playing football. And he just happened, like, he was able to get, I think, be able to go to this Catholic or a Christian school that, that recruited him pretty much. And he got to play there. And they're like, oh, the same school that your kids already go to.
Facts.
What, it's not like you went out and found him somewhere. That's the other thing. They made it, I think there was one scene in the movie where Sandra Bullock's character, the mom, is driving like down, I think, the neighborhood and sees him in a car or something, or sees him outside. Says, what are you doing outside? And Michael Orr basically said, that's not what happened. That's not at all what happened.
I'm sure.
That's not what happened. So
Disgusting.
I'm pretty sure more will come out about this. So we'll see what else comes out. Yeah, Roland just said the same thing. Roland said they put like he was slow. Yeah, they did. They made him like he was stupid. He's like, no.
Big dumb black guy.
Big dumb black guy. And that's what it came off as. But apparently, like you said, Travis, this director has a history of making movies like this. So, All right. Well, before we get into NFL news, somber news and the fact that, Alex Collins passed away, found out that it was just an accident. It was an accident. He was 10:30 at night. He was in a lane, and then a lady in a truck was making a turn, but I think he was coming in and basically just, hit the car and passed away at 28 years old. Yeah, it's just sad because he was like 1 year he was here, he was balling, he was doing Irish jig and stuff in the end zone, and he was a fan favorite while he was here. He was a big fan favorite while he was here. So it's always sad to see when he sees athletes die so young. Also, that I don't know if you guys heard this, the high school basketball player that passed away. I want to make sure I get his name.
Yeah. At practice, right?
Yeah, Caleb White, Alabama, high school star. He was like a 5-star recruit and everything. Passed away, had a heart attack. So it's becoming more prevalent, I think, in basketball. You're starting to see a lot of guys have heart issues. We all saw, Bronny have heart issues, when he was at USC practice. So I talked about this with my neighbor, and youth athletics now has become a 24/7, 365 thing now, especially if your kid is in travel leagues. Like, they're playing all year round. They're not playing in Maryland, they're playing in Florida, or they're playing in California. Like, wherever it gets cold, they go play somewhere else. They go play for a few months. And at the end of the day, I don't care if their kid is 8 or if you're 80, you need a break. Body needs a break. I know people want to make money and they want, these tournaments and these, play-ins and all this other stuff, or 7-on-7s and stuff like that are fun, and you can get yourself out there and get noticed, but you are wearing yourself out, your body and stuff. So it's important. Make sure you take a break, and get checked out regularly. As Black men, especially, in our community, like, a lot of Black men don't go to the doctor often. Go get checked out. And if you don't, go have your kids go get checked out, especially if they're playing sports regularly, to make sure everything's good. So, So other news, NFL news, before we get to Ravens training camp. Free agent running backs find new homes. So we saw Dalvin Cook signs a deal with the New York Jets. We'll be playing with Breece Hall in the backfield there with Aaron Rodgers. And Ezekiel Elliott signs a deal with the New England Patriots. After all that we saw the last month or so, 2 months, running backs need to stick together, and we got to go ahead and we need to hold out. At the end of the day, guys got to get paid, right? I mean, it's one thing to sit out and not make any money and just leave money on the table.
Mhm.
But you're seeing, I think Dalvin got, was it 8 million 1 year? I don't know if is it all guaranteed or there's like mostly.
Let me check.
I don't think it's all guaranteed, but again, it's further knocking that value down. That these NFL played hardball with these running backs, and then like, look, we got what another after this week. We got another week of basically training camp and then the season starting. So you got to get in somebody's training room, somebody's training camp now before the season starts. Because if you don't, they ain't signing you until somebody gets hurt, and that could be for 8-9 weeks without a paycheck. Dalvin Cook on the Jets. I'm kind of surprised. I kind of thought he was going to go to Miami, to be honest with you. I really thought he was going to go to Miami, but maybe the Jets maybe offer him another million or 1.2, whatever the number was. Maybe he wanted to play with Aaron Rodgers. He sees him a lot. He played in Minnesota. He's from Florida. I thought, playing Miami, there's a very fast offense, and I think a guy like McDaniel, is it McDonald, the coach?
McDaniels.
He draws it up really well. I kind of thought he would definitely have plays for Dalvin Cook, and then went Florida State. Got family down there and stuff. I mean, it seems like the perfect fit, but he goes to play in New York. For fantasy purposes, I'm not picking any Jets running backs because Breece Hall is just going to handcuff Dalvin Cook. I don't know who to start. I'm like,
it's going to be last on the list this year, I think.
Dalvin Cook. When the last couple of years, I usually pick Dalvin Cook as one of my top guys, but he's running behind. And Breece Hall, we saw what he did before he got hurt. I don't know who's going to be getting the touchdown, so I'm going to stay away from the Jets running backs unless they're like 7th, 8th round, and they're still on there, and I would go ahead and snag one.
Yeah, that's the weird part about, like you said, this running back situation. Like they just don't have a leg to stand on at this point. Like, like the Jets signing Dalvin Cook just kind of tells you everything you need to know. Like they didn't sign him because they needed him, because
they really didn't. Yeah,
anyone could use a Dalvin Cook. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like any team could use him, but it's not like he was a necessity to the point where we need to pay him all this kinds of money. So $8 million or up to $8 million or whatever his deal is, that's a nice piece of change for him. I would thought he would be one of the running backs that probably get a little bit higher, but in this where we're at right now, it just doesn't work out that way. But yeah, I did think that he was going to go somewhere else, but he was probably swayed by Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's my guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just where we are now. You just gotta pick your spot and figure it out, because right now, just the way the contract situations are and the CBA and all this other stuff, like it really just is what it, and where the game's going. They don't need you. It's almost kind of like, the coaches are kind of like relying on this QB. I'm sorry, not QB, but running back by committee is kind of more valuable to them than just having one guy at this point, because just the lack of durability. And if you're not a rookie running back, it's like we really don't need you. And even being a household name isn't really giving you as much value as what that used to give you. I mean, the fact that Dalvin Cook was a free agent in the first place tells you that what you need to know. Like, he wasn't really needed, but he's nice to have. So that's kind of what it's going to be going forward. Do we need you? No, but will you be nice to have? Yes. And we know that the need you money is different from the nice to have money. So that's just what the new way is right now until something changes, which I can't see that happen anytime soon, just the way, because of the direction the game is going. And this same thing with Zeke. I mean, I don't think it's that much of a different situation there. It's going to be weird watching him play for New England just because of the head coach and his personality, and just it's just a completely different culture from Dallas going to New England. So that's going to be interesting to watch. But new opportunity for him over there, and we'll just kind of see if his game changes, if he kind of picks up. It seems like he's been pretty inconsistent the last couple of seasons. He's been up, he's been down. But under new leadership, we'll see if something changes. But not shocked at these moves, or how late these guys end up getting signed either, just based on the way things are going.
Yeah. I like what Corey said. Like, I think, the running backs are at the short end of like this overvalue with like the offensive lineman, defensive lineman, and the quarterbacks. Because the thing I'm noticing, and the running backs are getting the short end of this, but a lot of guys aren't getting second paydays.
No.
And I mean across the league. Running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, linebackers, safeties, cornerbacks. The second paydays are going to the linemen and the quarterbacks. That's where it's at. So, like, we're seeing like an overvaluation of certain positions because most of the money is going to the quarterbacks. I mean, these deals are up in the 60 millions now. So, like, there needs to be a push for shorter contracts. Like, and a move probably closer to what the NBA is doing. They're allowing guys to extend in their third year.
Have player options, right? At least have
And
player options too.
Yeah, player options. So, in the NFL, a team can own you for a while without paying you. You look at Gus Edwards; he hasn't had a nice payday yet, and with the production he's had with the Ravens, he's never going to hit the open
He'll
market.
never hit it. Yeah,
you got that restricted tender. And I truly don't even understand how that even works, but nevertheless, like, the issue is like you're stuck with a team, and by the time you are able to hit free agency, you're like 27, 28. And as a running back, you're out of your prime at 30 to the front office. So there's not a lot of opportunity to make money. So I think, what we're saying here, there needs to be a push for shorter contracts, shorter rookie deals, so these guys can take advantage of, their career. Because, I mean, this is one of the most taxing, if not the most taxing position in the league. So, it sucks. But circling back on Dalvin Cook, they said his contract is the majority of it is guaranteed. I think it's 8.4 million. But yeah, it says the majority is guaranteed. Not exactly how much, but it has like 1.2 in incentives, 1.6 in incentives, $7 million base salary, so 8.6 total.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking up. Go ahead, Trey.
I was gonna say, and what was Saquon getting? Like, he's getting like close to 10 now or something like that.
I think he's 10.1.
And that's after begging.
Or 11. This is 11. I think they offered him 10 and he took 11.
Oh, his salary is 10.1. Yeah, and he took 11.
Yeah,
he sat out for 1.1 million.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm not taking the 10. I ain't paying the 5.
Crazy.
I ain't paying the 5. They give him one. All right, we'll give you another 1.1 million. So
yeah, and he has to pay for that. So
I'm looking at Gus's contract, and he's got this is the last year the Ravens had to pay him any like really guaranteed money, and then he's got like 4 void years they add into the contract. They got 4 void years added onto his deal. So and because of how they use Gus, like you're right, he's never going to get paid. He's got like some of these running backs are stuck where they're stuck on these teams because they got golden handcuffs. We're the only one that's going to pay you. Their value at the money we're paying you. If you go on the open market, you'll be lucky to make $900K. Like, you'll be lucky. Like, that's what the sad part about it is. Like, new CBA is not going to come up for another. I think they said 7 years. So they can't do anything. But I think the players really need to push for. They need to talk to MLB reps, the player reps, and NBA player reps, and figure out how these guys got. I mean, like I said, we've seen they were able to factor in player options. Like if a player it doesn't like the situation he's in with the current team, he can just opt out. Like, I'm not signing next year's contract because I don't like what's going on here. I'm out. But with the NFL players now, you're just stuck unless they trade you. You're stuck. You can't really go, and then the only thing they really got was, the no trade clauses. That's the only thing they really have as leverage when they do sign their deals. But like you said, Travis, the only people that are getting that are quarterbacks and maybe some wide receivers. And, like the trend is going because of how they're using more wide receivers now. I'm pretty sure in the next couple of years, these NFL owners are going to be like, well, there's like 4 of you, you're catching all these touchdowns and stuff. So in order to pay, we gotta, bring down the money a little bit. And like, what? Salary cap keeps going up. Y'all revenue keeps going up. Why are we making less money now?
Mhm.
The same thing they did with the running backs. They buy platoon.
And all the new rookie running backs is just kind of restarting the cycle because it's like they're not about to join the fight coming out of college. So
yeah, Corey saying like what we said last week. He said some talking heads say teams front offices are looking to being basically removing the running back position altogether. Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, unless you're gonna be like maybe like a Saquon Barkley type or maybe an Austin Eckler, Isaiah Pacheco, where you can like line up in the slot, line up like as a wide receiver and catch the football. Like it's gonna be kind of called the flank. It's gonna be like that flanker position back in the 50s and the 60s. It's gonna be that flanker position. Like that's gonna be it's not gonna be a running back. It's gonna be a guy that happens to the Deebo Samuel role. Like it's gonna be you occasionally will take the snap in the backfield, but also line up as wide receiver.
But even Pacheco, we talked about it last week. Even with Pacheco, he's that type of guy you're talking about. He's screwed as well.
He said the Chiefs aren't going to pay him, so he's like, it's.
And
look what happened to Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson basically is the hybrid, is what the NFL wants. That's what the NFL wants. They want a wide receiver that can occasionally get the ball in the backfield and run. We got a guy that plays two positions basically,
and return kicks sometimes.
And return kicks. There you go. Percy Harvin would have killed if he had those head issues. If he had migraines, I think it was migraines that really did him in. If he had, Percy Harvin would have been eating in this league right now. Man, it's a damn shame. Anyway, on to NFL training camp news, but of course, we want to talk about Ravens Commanders training camp. So this week the Ravens were, I think Monday. Did it start Monday or Tuesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday. They've been practicing with the Washington Commanders, and things have been getting a little chippy. And we got some video to show you guys. Let's see if I can pull this up real quick. Get some video of some of these hits. I think the first one you want to show is what started it all. Is Tylan Wallace, I think caught a pass, and then it looked like Emmanuel Forbes was swatting at him and maybe hit a sensitive area. I would have punched him too. Let me show you this video clip real quick.
Well, I almost said when he threw it, when Mink was like, "Oh, he's going deep," I almost said Mark Andrews must be somewhere down there.
We got some punches being thrown.
So I like that Tylan stood up for himself there, and this is, I think, something we haven't really seen from the Ravens in any training when they've had these joint practices. They've had them with the 49ers before, especially when Jim Harbaugh was there, but we never really heard any scuffles like this breaking out. It was nice to see some energy, some emotion from this offense. We also want to show, I think, from today as well, a couple instances. I'll show you this 10-second clip real quick, and then it will show Mark Andrews and his antics this week. That was our Darius Washington throwing whoever out of frame onto the sideline. He got a flag for it, but you saw how the Ravens defense came around him, like we're hyping him up after that. They loved that.
Man.
It might have been a little bit of a flop too, man.
It might have been, but I mean,
Darius is like 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
That dude's 6'7".
He's got at least 80 pounds on him. I know he does. But still, I mean, the defense. I love that the defense came around him, even though it was a flag. The defense came around him and hyped him up. They were just yeah. And then we'll show let's show Mark Andrews real quick. I like how he slams a dude and just walks away. There's nothing to say here. Nothing to say here.
I love it, man. Is it Tank Davis or is it Tylan Wallace? Is it Dwayne Johnson or was that Mark Andrews? I love it, man. I love the chippiness. we were talking earlier. It's definitely a new energy in that building. I don't know what it is. Well, I kind of have a couple ideas what it is with a couple of the players, but it's just everything's new, brand new, man. New offense, new system, new players, um, new coaches, new everything. Andrews, throughout this whole offseason into the start of training camp, practice, all of that, he's been like not talked about at all. And I think sometimes he just wants to send a reminder that I'm still that guy. Like, I'm the one who's been holding his offense up for the past several years. So I think that's a part of his chippiness, his feistiness, going into practice. Tylan Wallace, also an overlooked player, but he's also fighting for a roster spot. So it's more at stake for him than it is for any of these other guys. And I think the way he's been battling in camp, I'm not just talking about the fights, but he's having an amazing camp. And he was one of the guys that, to be honest, was not on my radar at making this roster whatsoever. I mean, he's been solid for us. He's been there for us when we needed him in the situations that we needed him in. But I didn't really think that he was going to be like duking it out for those last couple roster spots. And just what I've seen in camp for these couple of days that's been live streamed. Obviously, we haven't seen the whole entire camp, but just from these 2 camps that I've seen, he's been making a lot of plays out there, a lot more than what I've expected to see. So with that, in combination with what he's on, like just not letting these commanders come in there and just kind of push these guys around, I love what I've seen from him, and I love what I've seen from Mark being the leader of the team. So I'm cool with it. I'm glad it's the last day of practice because I think a third day would have been kind of doing too much. But yeah, I think we got some good work in while they were in town.
Yeah. And if Tylan is fighting for a spot, that punch may have got him that spot because he got him right in the chin. Like, usually players hit the helmet like dummies.
Yeah.
He got him right in the chin. So I love it. Like the one thing I've seen since I've been to the practices is that like this, mainly I've been talking about the defense, but that bully ball mentality, that physicality, like that we're going to run right through you mentality has been there all training camp. And I'm seeing it on the offensive side now. Like when Andrews hit the slam, the rock bottom, people's elbow, whatever, like Andrews is really showing that, like you said, he is underrated. He probably has been hearing all this stuff from people saying ranking George Kittle above him for whatever reason that don't make any sense. Because Mark Andrews is definitely like the 1B tight end in the league or the number 2 tight end, and they keep ranking these other guys trying to put him ahead of him. So I know he feels disrespected. I know he's angry because they haven't advanced deep into the playoffs. So I think all that is building up, and I feel like it's a sense with all the guys, like they're like, this is our year. We're tired of being overlooked. We're tired of people saying we're going to come in third in the division when we've been a mainstay at the top of this division for like 15 years. So like that attitude is there. And these guys, the shackles are free from Greg Roman. The shackles are free from Steve Saunders. These guys can be free to have their talents used. These guys are angry because they're tired of losing when they know they are a Super Bowl contending team. And it's coming out. And I like the feistiness. I like the attitude. I like, as they used to say back in the old Ravens days, the swagger. Like, I love it. And I even love our Darius Washington because this is a guy who's going to have to step in now that nickel corner spot and be that guy. And he's shown out all training camp. He is one of our better guys in the secondary that doesn't get talked about. And to see him throw that tight end leave his feet, like, I love to see it. Like, this is the Ravens team we have needed, and they are here. And I want to see them show this type of grit, this attitude, this feistiness all season.
Now you think, I mean, yeah, especially like with the Bengals, they've been talking the last 2 years. They've been chirping even in the offseason. And, the Ravens, for the most part, have been quiet. They haven't, even on the field, like they haven't really shown that same kind of, we heard what you guys were saying about us and, we don't appreciate it. But now you're, like you guys are saying, like now you're starting to see a little bit of that. We're not going to I'm not going to have you coming up, and especially in our practice field, and doing. I'm not having y'all do that. No, we're not doing this here. You're in Owens Mill. You know, you ain't doing this.
Owens
Up
Mills.
here. You know,
That's crazy.
you ain't gonna do that up here. But yeah, I do like that fact. You said that Trey, you said that Mark Andrews threw his helmet down when I think Tylan Wallace caught a touchdown. Was that today?
Were you talking about Justin Tucker or were you talking about Andrews?
Oh,
I think you said somebody. I think we were saying before the show, like
yeah.
I think, Andrews threw his helmet down because Tylan Wallace caught a touchdown. I think.
I think it was Travis. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was Zay. Zay caught a touchdown. I don't know if
Zay,
Andrews
okay.
was open too, but Zay caught a touchdown and Andrews threw his helmet down and they walked off the field. I think it was towards the end of practice.
Okay. I think Mark is used. I think. Look, I ask you guys this question. I think the dynamic is going to change within this. I know now. Look, I mean, Monken is known, especially at Georgia, for throwing the tight ends. He used them extensively when he was there. But when you got guys like Zay Flowers and Odell in your receiver room, it's going to be hard to not throw them the football. Do you think that could cause a little bit of friction? Mark Andrews is used to getting mainly the big time impact targets. That maybe some of those targets are definitely going to come down. You know, then with Rashard Bateman, when he starts to come on too, I would anticipate that some of that is going to impact Mark Andrews in a negative spot. Do you think that maybe could cause a little bit of friction, or you think it's more of Mark Andrews? It's like, again, it's hot, it's camp, it's, you know, you're in the heat of the, you know, if you're out there playing your boys and you're open to, why are you throwing the damn ball? Like, you know, you're in the moment, you're not really upset about it, but at the same time, it's like, you know, so you think it's going to cause a little bit of friction there?
I honestly don't think it's going to cause as much friction as what people might think, only because, you know, the offense at the end of the day is running through Lamar. So, I mean, we see that issue happening a lot with different teams and things like that. But just the way Lamar is and how they respect him over there, you know, Andrews and Lamar obviously have a special connection. They've always had that connection, you know, kind of like right away. He's been his go-to target from day one. I don't think Lamar is going to look at him less as far as being a top playmaker. Obviously, we have more mouths to feed on that offense, but just the way I know that, and this is obviously from before, I don't know their direct relationship, but we can all see just based on how Andrews talks about Lamar all the time, like that's going to be a direct reason of why we're not going to have that issue in Baltimore. I think even with Odell, I don't think he's going to have that issue either, because I think he just at the portion of his career now where some of those things might actually matter less. And it's not like he's fighting for incentives this year. I mean,
he's getting paid.
Contract is fully guaranteed. So whether he catch that ball or not, whether he gets 100 completions or whether he gets 50 completions, he's not making a penny less than what he would either way. So I think that's one thing. Zay's obviously a rookie, so he's not even in this conversation as far as fighting over targets. Obviously, he's going to want the ball too, but we're not going to see any frustration from a rookie. But yeah, I don't see that happening with Andrews. And if it does happen, it'll be because we're losing, and we're losing a lot, and we're losing consistently. And then any team is going to start having issues. So I think that will be the main thing. I think the only issues we're going to have is if we start losing games and then guys are starting to feel as though they're not getting the ball enough, and that's why they're losing those games. But outside of that, I don't think I have any real concern. I think even in a new offense, I think their respect level for Lamar and Lamar's respect level for them is going to outweigh any of that potential nonsense that could occur.
Yeah, I think he just got a chip on his shoulder, because now I'm starting to think about, like, early in training camp, he was flipping off referees and fussing at them when they didn't make a call. I think he just got a chip on his shoulder. Like, I really think he does. I think he understands the expectations and he wants to live up to it. He wants his team to. Like, I think he's just completely locked in, and it's just projecting in anger. Like, my man is just angry, and I ain't got nothing wrong with it. Hey, play angry. If that's what does it for you, if that's what brings us to Super Bowl, do it. But he's been going off on everybody, the helmets, the referees, other players. So I think he'll be fine. I read somewhere that because it actually got brought up today. I don't know if it was an article or I just saw it on social media, but it was brought up today. Like, it's his frustration about targets. And one of the reporters who's been at every training camp practice said Mark Andrews is still twice as targeted as anybody on that team. So he's getting twice the amount of targets. So I mean, I don't think that's going to be a problem come the season.
Yeah.
Well, and that, I mean, look, at the end of the day, right? I think you can't really be concerned about him. You know, if he gets upset, he didn't get the ball. I mean, if you're the guy, you want the ball every time. Like, plain and simple, you want the ball, like, and that's what you want. You know, you want your star tight end in the league right now. If you're Travis, if you're in that talk with Kittle and Kelsey, like, I want the ball every time, if possible. I want the ball. So, but yeah, we didn't get the clip though. But you know, they showed a clip of Zay Flowers pitting the cornerback he was on and put him in the mixer or something. He put him in the
Blender,
spin cycle.
Yeah.
He hit a cut. That man went off camera. Like, he went to another training camp.
Back to the locker room for him.
Like I said, it's what Corey said. You know, Zay's gonna be. It's. I know it's only camp, and I guess we'll segue into our thoughts about this preseason game. Watching it, I know Zay didn't I think caught the ball maybe twice, I think, in the game, but it was what we saw when he wasn't throwing the football, right? It was when he's at the line of scrimmage, he's so fast that the cornerback had no choice but to like grab his face mask. He's shifting so much, he had to grab him by the face mask just to stop him slowing down. Had to. And then the other one, I think he's going down for a deep route, and the cornerback just grabs him. He knows, like, if I let him go, he's going for a touchdown. So he just grabs him and gets a holding penalty. And that's, you know, what we've been saying, I think, for years now, is we haven't had any wide receivers be able to get those illegal holding or holding penalties and pass interference penalties. We see other teams do it all the time, right? And they can get guys downfield, and their wide receivers can get illegal contact calls. They can get it like it's nothing. So with a guy like Zay Flowers, especially if he's going to play outside with that speed, guys are going to be willing, like, I'll give up 15, 20 yards if that means he doesn't score a 65-yard touchdown. Mm-hmm. Also from the game, we saw Josh Johnson got the second string snaps. He looked okay, but Tyler Huntley came in. I think the third and fourth quarter looked a lot better. The arm strength was a little bit better. I know, Travis, you were saying in the group chat that he was throwing stuff up there. It looked like a punt. Stuff was hanging up there a little too long. I will say it looked like more his more short and intermediate stuff looked a lot faster. I don't really think they tried him with any deep stuff. I don't think that's his forte if he's a backup. But he looked a lot more. He was definitely running around a lot. He did pull up at, I think, the third or fourth quarter. Looked like he had a hamstring issue. I think he's dealing with that right now. You saw Gus kind of get the carries in the third and fourth quarter, which I kind of thought was odd. Kind of wanted to see more Keaton Mitchell out there. He was out there for a little bit. But I'll say this: I'll give the Ravens a little grace here in the sense that a lot of times for these games, you want to see what if you know you got a guy that knows that's good at doing well. You don't really need to see what they got on. Like, we already know. This is for guys we're still on the bubble. These are for guys that we're trying to see if they're gonna make the team or not. You know, they put Gus back out there because, you know, he did suffer an injury last year, and they think you want to get him as many reps as possible out there as well. And then we saw Keaton out there, I think, on kick return and punt return as well, fielding kicks. I'm hoping to see him a little bit more in this game. Edge rusher wise, we saw Jabo out there for a little bit. Anna Owe. They didn't really get a lot of pressure. Marcus Mariota was kind of doing whatever he wanted to do with that defense when he was out there for that first half. Brandon Stevens, I think he's always in the right place. He's always right. He's in the right place, but he just doesn't know what to do with his hands when he gets there. Like, he's always right there on top of the wide receiver, but somehow the wide receiver always seems to make the catch on him. His hands never doesn't look around when he needs to. He's not putting his hand in the right place to knock the ball out or whatever, but he's always right there. He's not getting burned or anything by anybody. He's playing good coverage. He's just got to I don't know. Maybe he's just his third year in the league now at this point. That it may be just who he is. And I think Jalen Armour Davis was out there as well, and Darius Washington was out there. It was. I mean, I think we saw was it Malik Harrison in the first drive get a sack. We saw that, but that was it. After that, they didn't really do much of anything after that. Trying to think who else shined pretty well. The guy, the other linebacker, Sanders, played pretty well. His name may come up considering this Tyus Bowser situation. They may need some more depth there at outside linebacker, considering what he's going through. And also, to Davion Clowney, I think we found out he did go to, what was it, Miami? Went to the Dolphins, then left without a deal. So, I mean, it's weeks coming down. Only like another week and a half left before get ready for the season. But what were your guys? What would you see at the game that you kind of liked that you saw, or some things that were a little concerning?
First of all, I think Clowney just trying to miss camp, but
I don't think he wants to be in camp either.
You get that last week. As far as I guess my observations from the game in particular, I wasn't all that impressed. I was impressed with a few things. I did love what I saw out of Keaton. Was Keaton Mitchell?
Yeah.
I did love what I seen out of him. That play that got called back, that run was so good. And the holding didn't really affect the run too much. I think he would have got that regardless. But soon as he did that, we saw the next day J.K. Dobbins
was back, right? He got off that pup list so fast.
I'm like, when he saw that play, I think he was like, all right, let me stop playing.
Get back out here.
But I love what I've seen out of him. Just not even just just him running the ball, but I just think he's just a Army Swiss knife. Like, we can just use him in multiple spots on the field, and on special teams. Like, he looked good on the return as well. Like, he looks like when he was hitting holes, he knew exactly where he was going. He didn't look confused back there. He looked sure of himself. So he was one of the guys I was super high on starting out. I was also kind of high on number 82. Who's that?
Ryan. Yeah.
He looks like a bit awkward when he gets the ball.
Yeah.
But he was making plays.
He catching everything.
He was catching everything thrown his way, and he was making plays. So I definitely appreciated that. I like what I saw out of him towards the end of that game, especially because it seemed like he was almost taking it over. He had like 3 or 4 catches in a row and things like that. So I thought that was pretty dominant of him. Josh Johnson, our backup, he didn't really look good at all. I mean, he looked okay, but he looked like almost like as if he regressed from last year. And that's just one game, not regress as a whole. But in that game, he did not look as good as he looked.
He looked his age.
Yeah. To me, he's looked better in those regular season games he had to play when Lamar hurt, to me, in those games than he did in that preseason game. Because Huntley came in and he obviously looked like the clear better backup quarterback when he came in. So it was kind of like natural. It was like he picked up where he left off, and he looked even kind of better. Like, he kind of drove the offense right down the field. As far as another thing, I'm trying to think of other things that I liked. I did like just a couple of plays that Zay did. I mean, he didn't produce a whole lot of yards, but you can kind of see,
his impact was on the field.
Yeah, where he's going to be getting at. And on top of that, it's not like, Monken put out, his top plays for that preseason game. There's probably a whole bunch of stuff that they got lined up for Zay specifically that, we're just not going to unleash into the, to the regular season starts. But, he looked as good as advertised. As soon as he touched the ball, making a quick juke move and getting to the next level a little bit. So I obviously like what I saw out of him. Tight ends did okay. There was a couple of, I think Kohler might maybe dropped a couple of passes, but it's like the first time we've seen him in action in a while. So I'm not going to hold that against him. He made a couple of plays too. And that's about as much as I saw offensively that I liked. There was some concern, I would say, definitely with the offensive line. That offensive line to me is not buttoned up enough at all. It seems like they were under duress more so in the beginning of the game. And you can't really judge them off of them lining up against like one of the best D lines in the league because that D line was kind of crazy with Carter.
Jalen Carter, man.
Um,
They said Eagles been having issues with him in training camp.
right, but even on that play where he made that almost sack on a QB. I'm trying to think who was the lineman. Was that Ben Cleveland?
Cleveland, yeah, Cleveland.
Oh gosh, yeah, he's gonna get cut.
It was just like yes, that's Jalen Carter, but come on, man, like anybody could have been standing there and not let him get you off of that move. He literally just brushed him out the way and
some effort, right? Some effort.
So I didn't really like that, and that was actually kind of a trend. I didn't really like the offensive line play as much, even when I was watching the live streams today at camp, because I seen that they got several sacks on both days, and I don't know, it just seemed a little bit more one-sided and on the line point of view. And I think that's my gripe on it. Switching to the defense, I think it's kind of similar. I didn't really see the pass rush that I would like to see. Especially, I'm not talking about on blitz plays, but just non-blitz plays, just the rush on the edge. It seems like they were kind of like controlling them at the line of scrimmage a little bit. So I would like to see more still out of Owe and Ojabo. But it's the first game, so I'm not holding it too much against them. But I'm still not super pleased with that. The Brandon Stevens point you made, I couldn't have said it better, really. I mean, it's kind of what we see all the time. Like at the end of the play, he's either like right laying on top of the receiver or he's right underneath of the receiver, but the receiver caught the ball. Like it's kind of like he's almost there or he's right there, but for some reason he's just not making a play. But I do think it's going to connect for him at some point. So I think he might improve because we need him to. I mean, we don't really have no choice at this point with all the our DB issues in general that we're having. I mean, I feel like we're really strong at safety, but our cornerbacks, the fact that they're just going down left and right, we're going to need those guys to step up because I don't know how soon our front office is going to jump on finding somebody available because most of them are on other teams. Ain't nobody available, so it's going to be interesting to see who steps up. But overall, I think it was a decent outing. As far as the secondary, it just, like I said, it just didn't look great. But we didn't really expect it to look great. But it's still their backups versus our backups, so you still expect to see somebody step up and make those plays. But I think that should definitely been enough to sound the alarm and let the squad know that it's time to go get help kind of sooner than later. But we're in trouble in that department. But overall, I like what I saw for the most part. I mean, I don't really have too many gripes.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, you all said most of my points. The one thing I'm gonna just say what like I feel differently. I'm still okay on the offensive line because I think the highlights like maybe emphasize too much or overemphasize how they played the rest of the game because like Ben Cleveland gave that up, but he was solid the rest of the game. And I think we didn't have everybody in. I think when we look at this team come regular season, we're going to have a great left tackle. We're going to have a average right tackle, a really good right guard, a really good center, and an average to below average left guard. I think that gets you through pass pro wise. I think that gets you through. I mean, you're going to have your hiccups or whatever, but I think that gets you through. But that left guard spot is really concerning. I think what's his name? John Simpson is in the league right now. Yeah. And then you got that 6th or 7th rounder that's looking as a second guy, and then Ben Cleveland, who should be the guy. He should clearly be the starter because he's had games where he's dominated. And then the rest of the time he just looks like trash. Like I remember, man, what was that game? It was like the one game that Greg Roman called the game of his life. I think it was a Monday night game against the Chiefs.
Buccaneers? Was it the Buccaneers game?
The Chiefs.
Okay.
Not last year, but the year before. It was a primetime game against the Chiefs where we dominated the second half against the run, and Ben Cleveland was a big part of that.
Right, he was a road grader. Like he was always getting to the second level. Like he was killing it. Yeah.
But his feet are awful. So I know they've been playing him at right tackle some. I know Falafel has been playing right tackle some. But at the end of the day, like I think my concern is more about our depth. I think our starters are cool, but I think we do need to get more. But I know Ben Cleveland, he was solid the rest of that game. Like he kind of tightened up, but that highlight just made him look awful because it was
Yeah.
just so terrible. Like he got abused. So I'm okay on the O line. I'm really concerned with the DB with the corners. I'm just gonna say the corners. Um, Jalen Armour Davis, I'm high on him. I'm down on everybody else except Ardarius. But I kind of consider him like a safety that plays nickel. But the rest of the corners, I'm kind of down on. I know a lot of people are hyping up Seymour, but I'm not as high on Seymour as everybody is saying, like on social media. Um, I think I'm kind of concerned about Gus. The fact that he's getting carries late in the preseason, I'm starting to wonder, and I've been wondering this since the start of camp, because Justice Hill has been getting way more snaps than Gus. I'm not even gonna lie. And this offense, Monken's offenses are usually catered towards a scat back, which Gus Edwards is not. So I'm really starting to wonder, and the theorist in me is like, my wheels are starting to turn. Could we see a point in this season where Gus is the RB3?
I would not.
I would not be like,
Not.
basically like when we're looking at training camp, right? Like we've barely seen Ricard. Like I've seen him a couple times with special teams with Justin Tucker and them, talking to them, and with the O line, pressing with them. And like you guys said, even when they're lining up in these formations, Gus isn't really out there. Like it's Justice, and when JK gets out there, it's going to be him and Keaton Mitchell. Like that's Monken even at Georgia relies. That's what he relies on, speed. When he had Nick Chubb and he had Kareem Hunt when he was in Cleveland. So he's looking at a similar situation he's got in Baltimore. I got two. JK is basically a Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt is a split between Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill. And we've been saying for years, Justice Hill, I think, was just misused. You know, they didn't know how to use him because of his speed, but we can clearly see Todd Monken knows what to do with Justice Hill. We can clearly see that. So you're right. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets that running back 3 designation.
I mean, got those void years, right?
Yeah, those 4 extra void years. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it plays. Another thing I did like what we saw with those touchdown catches, the back shoulder touchdown catches that Josh Johnson threw and Tyler Huntley. That was clearly a Todd Monken thing, putting those routes in there that they catch it only where your receiver can catch it. You know,
everybody in the league does this. Everybody
does back shoulder, right? I love seeing those back shoulder. You can clearly see that Tyler Huntley and Josh Johnson ran those same plays in the red zone, and they were touchdowns each time. So I'm like, back shoulder. How many times have we, seen where they ask Lamar to throw a fade route up top, throw it up high, and ask your 5'8" wide receiver to jump and try to go get it? Like it's no, like they were when the Ravens were in the red zone, they were either throw it to high point the ball with Mark Andrews, or they were trying to just run it in. Like they had nothing else. So seeing those back shoulder throws and catches were like, that was nice to see. I did like that.
Yeah.
Also, Justin Tucker, man, 60 yards. And he had he had like 5 or 6 yards underneath the ball. Like he could have made that from 65.
The GOAT.
He just did that one for the fans, I guess.
He did. I think like they could have easily punted the ball, but I think Tuck was like, I need practice too. I need practice for these games too. I know I'm the man and everything, but I still need to come out here and practice every now and then. So he hit that 60-yarder. Was like he probably hit it like, okay, I'm good. Like I don't need to kick rest of preseason. I'm good. I'm straight. So I did like seeing that was nice to see. The crowd went crazy too, and Justin Tucker. Everybody's like, man. Yeah. And I was also watching it on NFL Network, and they were just like, man, it's unreal. It's unreal. Like I mean, it's legit like Justin Tucker and no one else. Like there's no like 1A or it's Justin Tucker is the best kicker in the NFL. Period. There's no one even. There's other guys that have had decent seasons here and there. They come out the guy McPherson, I think in Cincinnati, that's pretty good, but he's not as accurate as Justin Tucker is. Yeah. He's a weapon, man. He's a weapon. Mm-hmm. You got a guy like that can kick it from 65, 60 yards
to win a game.
Win a football game.
That's the crazy part. The clutch part is
like teams don't really value kickers a lot until you need to win. You're only down by 2 points and you're in field goal range. and your
Yeah.
kicker sucks. Like,
We've been blessed to see it consistently, which is
Yeah.
we from Matt Stover to Justin Tucker. Well, we had those Billy
2
Cundiff
years,
years.
yeah.
We don't talk about those. It's like Voldemort. We don't talk about
and,
those.
and even and he we
He
don't
was good. He was an all pro that year.
and he just missed the worst kick of his career. That's all.
The year that we lost to the Patriots in that game, he was an all pro that year. He was an all pro kicker.
Yeah.
But that
Never seen him again
Tucker
after that.
never he was going. So I mean, look, we'll mention it now. I mean, obviously the news came down. Marlon Humphrey had to have surgery on his foot. Apparently, it's been a lingering injury. I don't know how long this has been a lingering issue, but he's going to be out a considerable amount of time. They're saying now it's going to be a month, which means he's probably going to miss the Texans game and the Bengals game. So the Ravens, I mean, what's his name? Rocky Sin is already still dealing with his injury. So you're 1-2 starting cornerbacks, probably not playing week 1. So that leaves you with Ardarius Washington. It leaves you with Kyu Blu Kelly, Brandon Stevens, Kayvon Seymour. And I think Rick Travis, the only reason they're hyping up Kayvon Seymour is because they have to, right? They don't have any other option. But, oh, man, Kayvon's killing it out there. I'm pretty sure he is. Until he has to go guard Jamar Chase. Then we'll see how good he actually is.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, they're probably doing the gritty right now. He's doing it in this. He's like, man, he saw Marlon Humphrey go down. He's like, I'm about to get 200 yards on these fools, man. But that's going to be, look, I think as I was texting my dad and my brother earlier, and he was like, this puts even more pressure now on the pass rush. They have to get it going. I mean, Marlon's going to be back. They said hopefully after week 2, but that's the positive side. I don't know what his rehab is going to look like with his foot injury. It could be something that could be with him all year. It's not going. I don't know if it's going to completely fix what's wrong or whatever that may be. I think the Ravens are benefiting from the fact that he can just sit down. He won't have to really rush him back. It was the first couple of weeks, but you're having a division game against the Bengals early that you would like to have a win, early in the season and not have to wait until towards the end and it becomes more, a lot of more stress and all that other stuff on it. So I wouldn't be surprised if, when cuts start coming in and, the Ravens are looking around and, like I said, there'll be teams that have drafted cornerbacks high and maybe have a guy on their roster that's either, contracts coming up or, they're willing to move on from that the Ravens go ahead and I wouldn't be surprised if EDC's looking at that right now and basically going ahead and signing. He may sign a couple guys, to be honest with you. Looking around at other training camps, there could be a situation where they have guys that did draft, but the cornerback room is pretty deep and they just may not have a space for them. There's opportunities there for that as well. But they cannot not make a move at this point, right? They got to do something because the cornerback room is so light right now. Like you're relying on, like we said, Brandon Stevens in his 3rd year, but he's kind of is what he is. Blu Kelly is a rookie. Ardarius Washington has been a 3rd string guy his whole career here with the Ravens so far. Jalen Armour-Davis is a question mark. I don't know what to expect from him. Kayvon Seymour was a guy we got off the street. So, I mean, they're going to really have to rely. Kyle Hamilton is going to have to play a big factor in this as well. And Marcus Williams on the back end. But they don't need that pass rush. That pass rush got to get going soon.
Yeah. And we signed DeAndre Houston Carter too, from the Chicago Bears. I mean, I don't know how beneficial that will be, but
he's a body.
It does sound like from Chicago Bears fans that they did not want to lose him. So that's usually a good sign when the fans are saying, I don't know how we let him go. So hopefully that means something. We don't know. We've yet to see. But like you said, EDC got to get to work in that room because we got to do something because of what I've seen from the pass rush. Hopefully, it's, we're going to see something different, a different product out there come regular season as far as just, effort and execution. But if they show up average, mediocre, they're just gonna pick away at us. I mean, that Bengals game, they got 3 potential number one. Well, they have one definite number one receiver. Their second string is a potential uh, number one receiver too, and T. Higgins. And then you got Tyler Boyd, who's probably a two. Um, so they got two number one receivers and a second receiver pretty much that we're gonna have to lock in and somehow try to defend. So it's definitely a scary situation, but hopefully something happens. I mean, with like you said, with Marlon's recovery, we're not going to know what that's going to look like, but we got to prepare for it nonetheless. So either that or Mike McDonald is going to have to get super creative when we play that Bengals team. And I hate to even overlook the Texans team because I mean they're still going to be going against whoever their number ones are going to be. So it's like, you know, we're still talking about this isn't camp and it's going to be week one, so it's going to be a shock at that. Right. So how long is it going to take for them to get in the form and buckle up their chin straps and make some plays? It's going to be tough. I mean, you're asking a lot from a bunch of guys who are simply fighting to make the roster. And these are going to be the same guys September 9th that are going to have to, or 10th or whatever the day the game's on. These are the same guys that are going to have to start a football game, a couple of them. So, yeah, it's going to be something to look at. But, you know, hopefully our offense will be that explosive that it won't matter.
Yeah. So obviously this hurts. I'm seeing two names pop up all over social media. Carlton Davis III from the Bucks, and then the big splash, Jair Alexander from the Packers. Those are the two names.
I would love to get Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
How are we going to trade to get him?
What's their situation? Like,
right? They did not want to pay him.
It's a tense situation. They don't want to pay him. Carlton Davis, that's more of like Bucks are trying to rebuild, so they just want some picks.
Offload some people.
I mean, I think who's left that we can get up off the street is Ronald Darby and Troy Hill, which maybe 3 years ago I would have been really excited for, but not now. So I don't know. It's one of them things where we might just have to, you know, this is like our Super Bowl window, especially when you see how the contracts are lined up. Like we really have to like dig in this year, next year. So F them picks. Like if we gotta saddle up to go get Jair Alexander, let's do it. Because all it is using a pick early. I mean, he's not an old guy. I mean, if we gotta throw a second and a fourth, let's do it. If we gotta, you know, whatever, because we're gonna use that on a corner next year regardless. So let's just advance that pick,
anyway,
get a proven guy, and go after a chip this year. I think it's something worth. I mean, Carlton Davis is definitely a serviceable guy. I think he's a fringe one, but he's more of like a CB2, you know, on a winning team. So I think, you know, you got to go after one of those guys. We got to make a move. And we got to do it fast because we can't just like make a move like before the Cincy game or wait till the wheels fall off. We have to be proactive because let's be honest, Rocky Ya-Sin is on a 1-year deal. There's not much faith in Rocky Ya-Sin long term. This is just like a prove it type deal. Jalen Armour-Davis hasn't practiced in like four days, so he's hurt. I mean, we have 5 DBs, five cornerbacks that are hurt right now.
Yeah, Pepe Williams is down too.
Yeah. Down. So, I mean, we got to make that move. Get someone proven in here. Spare the feelings, spare the drama. Let's go get somebody in here because this is our window this year and next year. Then we got to start looking at cap cuts and restructuring deals and letting people go. But this year and next year, we're in a good position where we can be aggressive and make some things happen.
Agreed.
Yeah, you made a good point there, Travis. Like if you know next year you're going to be drafting a cornerback in the first round anyway, you know, why not trade it for a guy that's already proven to be an NFL, not a CB1 caliber, you know, defensive back versus let's draft a rookie and hope he turns out to be that guy. Like, you know, now I think his contract right now, he's due. His cap hit's about $10 million this year. I think he's got like another guaranteed money. His potential out is in 2025, so he's got like another 2 years where they have to kind of pay him. But if we see the Ravens start restructuring some deals, calling people in like, hey, we need to get some money here, get some money there, or work out something, or convince the Packers to take up some of that money, especially if they're not trying to pay him an extension or something like that, or like teams want to offload some cap cap space and stuff. Maybe they need to make a move for somebody based on Packers cap. Maybe they make a move as well and probably trade for somebody. So look, with what EDC's done this offseason, got Odell in here, you got Lamar signed. I'm pretty sure you're looking at all the options right now. I just kind of wish that they addressed this a little bit earlier and did this when free agency was around and when the draft, not wait until the fourth or fifth round to draft a cornerback. They had opportunities to draft some guys. Emmanuel Forbes, who was in, against the Ravens, this camp was there. I think when the Ravens were picking at the second or third round, they didn't pick him. There was a few guys. They said this was a really deep draft for cornerbacks for the Ravens, and they waited until the last possible minute to draft. But now it's coming back to bite them.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about these cornerbacks in the Ravens training camp. They keep getting hurt. I don't know what it is. They got to get this under control. But I guess the silver lining in all this is that Marlon's situation isn't season ending. He will be hopefully back by week 3. Could be sooner, depending on how his foot feels. So it's not a thing. Marcus Williams is, they're straight. Kyle Hamilton, as I said, is going to play a bigger factor playing that slot role more so definitely now with the cornerback situation the way it is. I like this at the line of Roquan there and Patrick Queen as well in the middle. I think it's definitely going to be some situations where the Ravens are going to give up some stuff, but I think McDonald's is going to have to be more of that kind of bend but don't break situation. They may get down the field on us, right? They may get down into the red zone, but we're not letting them score a touchdown. Like they can kick field goals. If they can do that for a couple weeks, fine. And again, if Ajabo and Odafe wake up, and this pass rush is as dynamic as we hope it to be, then this will make things a lot more, palatable for Ravens fans to get through. But I definitely think, for what I've seen, especially the talking heads have, everybody's concerned about is the pass rush and the cornerback depth for the defense. But again, they're going to be relying on this offense to be very, very explosive. This offense is going to have to be extremely explosive, score touchdowns every time they touch the ball, not settle for field goals. So it could be a new era in Baltimore. We're used to defense dominating and being the leader of this team. And with Todd Monken now and Lamar getting route trees off of Twitter and Instagram, installing stuff now. Because look, these guys follow like other skills coaches and stuff like that. And they're working on wide receiver stuff with high school players and college players working on new route trees and all this other kind of stuff. So I'm pretty sure Lamar saw something he liked. He was like, I like that. Let's install that. Worked it out. So it's a new era now. And, maybe with Todd Monken in here and them kind of giving him the reins to this offense and how things we hope to look, the offense could, for the first time probably since 2019, carry this team, for the foreseeable future. But before we get out of here, is there anything else you guys want to, bring up or anything? Or
I don't think I got nothing, man. I think we pretty much covered it for the most part. Travis, you got something?
No. Zay Flowers, wide receiver 1. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm riding with my guy, man. I'm riding with my guy.
I think it's going to start out as Odell is the one, but by mid-season, Zay is probably going to. It seems like Zay's going to be taking that spot.
By the
Zay will be
second quarter.
He said by the second quarter of the first game,
the
Zay is the wide receiver
quarter.
1.
With all that separation he's been getting,
Man,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Listen, y'all
like
remember
you
when
said,
Torrey Smith used to draw those penalties all the time? That's what we're going to see.
And he's faster than Torrey.
Yeah.
He's a lot shifted. I mean, they call him joystick. Like they said, he moves like Dante Hall when Dante Hall was with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he's doing, like I said, we saw some glimpses of that in practice and during the preseason. So I'm like, if he can do that on a regular basis for this team, yeah, you're right, Travis. It may not take long. They may be
Yeah.
like, nah, he's the guy. Even Odell may come out and be like, Odell may call the field like, you better get that man the ball. Like I said, Odell already cashed the check already. That check's been cashed. He's like, that boy good. He's
gonna be pivotal, man. I can't wait.
He's like, he reminded me of me when I was a rookie. He's like, so anyway, that's it from us. Enjoy the game. I guess that's what Monday night. Yeah, Monday night game,
8 p.m.
preseason, and then they have 5 days later the Bucks last game. Yeah, that makes we talked about that off camera. It seems odd. It just does. Yeah, it basically eliminates any work being done team wise for that last preseason game because guys are rehabbing, they're taking an off day, and then you got walkthrough. Like you have maybe one good day of practice, maybe.
Yeah, it's the Anthony Brown game. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's gonna be a game no one's gonna watch. I'm definitely not. That's gonna be third and fourth stringers, and that's running that game. So, that's it from us. Thanks you guys for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Peace.